In this session, you will learn how to expand your Amazon FBA brand to global marketplaces, and you will also learn about some common mistakes sellers do when they scale globally. Our guest today will be Ryan Kramer from First Choice Shipping. It's a company which helps Amazon sellers and e-commerce sellers to expand internationally. And Ryan has a diverse experience as an e-commerce professional, and especially about he can talk a lot about international expansion. But before we continue with the content, I wanted to mention that this session is part of the Seller Fest Online Virtual Summit, and this session is sponsored by a few companies. The first one is Carbon 6. It's a suite of tools that makes it simple to optimize and streamline your any aspect of your Amazon business. The next company which is sponsoring this event is Quartile. It's an AI, artificial intelligence powered advertising optimization platform that helps sellers and brand owners to maximize their potential in e-commerce. The links to Carbon and Quartile you will find below in the description, as well as for Getida. They are an Amazon FBA auditing company. They help to maximize your FBA reimbursements, the claims from Amazon. So Amazon owes you money, and Getida is specializing in getting the max from the money Amazon owes you. The links below. And the guest for this session is Ryan from First Choice Shipping. And First Choice Shipping is also part of this event. With First Choice Shipping, you can get help if you want to expand internationally in 2 different marketplaces. And if you will be listening this presentation by our guest and you like the content, don't forget to click like and subscribe below the video. And this session I'm hosting together with Lisette Liz. She works with different Amazon brands and hosts Orange Click videos. Hi, Lisette.
Hi, Augustus. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be back here and also excited to bring Ryan here with us. So, hi, Ryan. Hope you're doing great.
I'm doing well. Thanks, Lisette. Thanks, Augustus. Thanks for having us.
Before we go to your today's presentations, I wanted to ask from you to shortly introduce yourself and also tell us what's your background and what you currently do in the Amazon space.
Right. So my name is Ryan Kramer. I'm the new head of marketing and growth here at First Choice Shipping. My job is to first and foremost tell people about First Choice Shipping, which is helping people expand internationally simply. That means a lot of different things, and we'll kind of break it down here a little bit later. But my job is to make education as easy and as accessible as possible for those brands and international businesses that are trying to grow globally. So making it easy, simple, and trying to answer questions for people. They want to grow their business or grow their brand and take it to the next level. That's typically done by going outside different marketplaces, and that's what I'm here to do. My topic is going to be important steps to becoming an international brand on Amazon. Like I said, my name is Ryan Kramer. I'm the head of marketing and growth. I have 6+ years in Amazon experience and e-commerce experience. I've done anything from direct to consumer sales. I've worked for a company called Viral Launch, the software solution that helps people with data grow their business moving forward. And then also most recently with Ping Pong Payments, which is a fintech solution, helping people save money when it comes to international commerce transactions worldwide. So what does it mean to become an international brand? We might be looking at different marketplaces and growth. Specifically back in 2019, when a lot of people were looking for that international bump, a lot of people were primed, no pun intended, to grow their business moving forward. That was different marketplaces, different opportunities within the Amazon ecosystem. And I'll talk about that international opportunity. But there was that period of time, obviously, with COVID and a lot of different stoppages of sending inventory into my warehouse or Amazon's warehouse, or just getting my goods to warehouses in general. We're still talking about that today. So I think a lot of what we're seeing for customers, they're really primed for that growth step moving forward. Businesses are taking that leap, not just in Amazon, but other marketplaces as well. So that's what people are really pushing the boundaries right now for. And that's what we're going to talk about today. to answer some of those questions of what it takes to become an international brand, but also dispel some myths and those common questions that we have. So to kind of get going and started, let me go ahead and get my screen going. And all right, perfect. So what you'll learn today, obviously it's super important to understand that it's going to, what you're going to take away for today, how easy it is to expand to Amazon's international markets, what it takes to do that, how to maximize the potential of this market through Amazon, and of course, how to efficiently operate cross-border business and all of Amazon's marketplaces. But the first and foremost, how we start is becoming an international brand. There's a lot to think about, and I don't dispel any notion that it's an easy task. As you can see, these are just some of the very simple questions that a lot of people ask when they're thinking about, hey, I'm successful on the Amazon marketplace. I've been selling for a year. Maybe I should take this to the next level. Maybe you've been receiving calls from Amazon directly as a potential candidate to move to Canada or to Australia or to the United Kingdom. There's a lot to think about, of course, when it comes to those kinds of things. And this is just some of the very simple things that people have to, the barriers, I call them, that people come across that stop them from growing their business internationally. So a lot to think about, but I'm here to kind of break it down and to help it be more palatable and more manageable and to help it become a possibility for your brand moving forward. Some quick education. The top 4 marketplace regions, let's talk about global, right? This is based on visits per month, and you can see the data. We're recognizing where the data is coming from. It's a great resource. You should check it out. North American market is the #1 marketplace region-wise in terms of trying to get in touch with people worldwide. There's 4.4 billion visits per month across 55 different marketplaces and growing that have over 1 million or more visits each. So that is just to kind of put things into context. There's a lot of people in North America. I'm going to keep saying North America, that's Canada, United States, and Mexico, that are on e-commerce, that are shopping consistently. And that's a lot of eyeballs across multiple different markets every single month. That's the start big and work down small, right? Like our funnel. Following the next marketplace that's ginormous in terms of e-commerce growth is Europe. It's the highest number of different marketplaces at 68, again, and growing, and had over 1 million visits per month and has generated over 3.7 billion visits from European shoppers. Again, close second behind North America. Third, we go into East Asia, primarily China and Japan at 2.3 billion visits. It's a less diverse landscape based upon the marketplaces you can shop and sell on with 17. And then fourth is, surprisingly for a lot of people, is Latin America, which is 1.3 billion visits per month across 19 different marketplaces online. Again, those numbers continue to grow as e-commerce becomes more popular because, as we all know, e-commerce represents about 15 to 20% of retail spend total. So if you're talking about that, most people say, oh, Amazon, it's about half of that. So if you continue to look at the math and the numbers, there's a lot more opportunity for e-commerce to start to make traction worldwide. And if you start to break it down in these regions, it makes your job as a brand, where to grow, a lot easier to know. So did you know, maybe you didn't, maybe you do now, if you're listening to this and you're a new seller, Amazon is a global, truly global opportunity. What does that mean? Well, according in the top e-commerce websites, it's a really cool graphic that I think a lot of people should pay more attention to, especially here recently, from December 2021 to February of 2022. The top worldwide marketplaces or Amazon.com, then eBay. Then if you look down there, Amazon.com is the United States marketplace. Then you go into Amazon JP, which is Japan. Then Rakuten.com, which is also in Japan. You have Amazon DE, Germany, Walmart.com, AliExpress.com, Etsy.com, Amazon.co.uk, which is the UK marketplace for Amazon, and Amazon.in, which is India. So as you can see, worldwide, you're talking about marketplaces. Amazon ranks 1, 2, 3. I didn't do math before this. 4, 5. So 5 of the top 10 worldwide marketplaces are on Amazon domain. And in the US as well, a lot of people talk about the US marketplace opportunity is that .com, and you can see the breakdown. Still eBay, Walmart still go between 1 and 2, but this is top e-commerce websites according to SimilarWeb.com, in the past, December 2021 to February 2022. So the tail end of Q4 to the beginning part of Q1 of this year. So Amazon truly is a global opportunity. So what does that mean? Well, within the Amazon global selling, again, 5 of those top 10 marketplaces in the world are on Amazon. You can see that and sell your products, that there's a list of 19 marketplaces and continuously growing that Amazon offers for sellers to sell on in different countries worldwide. Breaking those right now of the 19 that you can sell on currently, and again, still some are being introduced worldwide, is the America's #1 marketplace, obviously in the United States. Then you have Canada, Mexico, and Brazil, and South America. In European market, you have Germany, United Kingdom, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Sweden, which was new in 2020, and Poland, which is new in 2021. Then you have Middle East and North Africa, which is the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey are all marketplaces that one can sell on. Then you also have the Asia Pacific countries, which are Japan, Australia, Singapore, as well as India. And again, those are marketplaces, depending on where in the world you're located, that one could theoretically sell and growing. What do I mean by growing? Just to kind of break down the top online marketplaces. Why is this important, Ryan? Well, if you look at the visits per month and how it breaks down, again, not to kind of sugarcoat anything, but how globally certain ones break down, Amazon is by far and away a #1 opportunity globally in terms of market share visits per month. And that's, Amazon broken up into all of its different marketplaces. But you could see as other marketplaces are, available worldwide in different countries, they also have a very significant market share. But what's the easiest one to grow into? By far and away, it's Amazon.com. Again, simple, straightforward. It's Amazon, and that's your #1 answer to get into different countries worldwide, different marketplace opportunities. If you're selling well in Japan, then that way you can look into different opportunities like Rakuten, and so on and so forth, depending on where your products and brands are doing well once you grow internationally. So what does it mean kind of breaking down, again, with the global marketplaces, why each of these are so important and why they're so unique? Japan, a lot of people don't know this, that took over that second spot as the number 2 marketplace in terms of total visits over the course of a year, average monthly visits, and unique visitors, overtaking both Germany and the United Kingdom recently. So if there's one thing you're taking away in terms of the hottest market on Amazon, that is Japan right now. More people are adopting Japan or Amazon in Japan. More people are shopping there, and there's also cross-border purchasing and cross-border shopping being done, from not just Japan, but in different countries that surround Japan. That could be Australia, shopping on .jp if you have Japanese immigrants, or if you have people around the world who are shopping on those ecosystems. Certain products are going to be featured only on those marketplaces, and more market share is going towards Amazon.co.jp. Second, or I would say, I always call it 2A and 2B. They fluctuate depending on the year, but the growth that a lot of people go into Europe is either one of these next two countries or marketplaces in Amazon. Amazon.de is German marketplace, and it has 2.6 billion. Again, comparing back to Japan, you can see the total visits, almost 1 billion more visits in a given year, almost 1.5 billion more visits per year in Japan than Germany, but still quite a bit of traffic that's growing in Germany. Germany is very heavily in the e-commerce, has adopted e-commerce a lot longer than some of the other countries that Amazon is growing in, which is why it's one of the top 3 marketplaces in the Amazon ecosystem. A lot of shoppers are very intelligent. They're shopping mobile. They're, the adoption of e-commerce has been more prevalent in Germany. As you can see here, they spend a lot of time online. A lot of people and opportunity grow within the Amazon German marketplace. Second behind that, I call it 2A and 2B. They flip-flop quite a bit, is the Amazon UK marketplace, which again, 2.4 billion total versus 2.6. Very, very minute in terms of the statistics when it comes to amount of shoppers selling in the marketplace. Again, UK very prevalent in the marketplaces on Amazon. Adoption rate is high. Mobile shopping is high there. just kind of break down that marketplace. And then France, if we're talking about Europe, France is one of those top adoption places as well. Again, about 1.1 billion visits per year. You break that down across the ecosystem. Again, a lot of cross-border shopping happens. If I'm in France, I might be buying in the UK marketplace or the German marketplace. Just depends on where you are and how often you're shopping, but different products are happening quite extensively. And if we refer back to the number 2 marketplace regionally, we're talking about Europe. So Europe is a huge marketplace for sellers who are thinking about growing their brand internationally. Europe is that one that you should circle. Obviously, in Japan, is that second one that a lot of people want to break into just because of the high growth opportunity there as well. So Amazon plans to keep on growing. If you haven't heard already, they're going to soon come to a country near you, ? Projects include Project Red Devil. Again, these are not made up. These are leaked documents from Amazon about growth opportunities. What is Project Red Devil? That is Belgium. Belgium marketplace is slated to be coming to Amazon in late September of 2022. Project Salsa, again, I wish I could say that I came up with these names. I did not. These are what Amazon is calling them. Project Salsa is encompassing one in Colombia, or Amazon marketplace in Colombia, and the marketplace in Chile, in South America. And then Project Fella is actually really intriguing and really interesting too. Is Nigeria and South Africa. And again, South Africa is going to be slated for February 2023. Nigeria is supposed to launch in April of 2023. So next year, if you're looking for Africa. In South America, you have the one in Colombia is dubbed, again, Project Salsa is scheduled for February 2023 as well, same time as South Africa. In Chile, which is April 2023. So just kind of a post that if you missed this out here, Yana Grikic of YLT Translations, a great friend I know of Orange Click, and a lot of people who are growing internationally. Some of the cool things and projects that are happening on the Amazon Marketplace. I said 19, and I meant it. They're growing. There's at least, obviously, there's 5 more marketplaces that Amazon intends to launch within the next year or so. So my question to everyone here, what is preventing you from expanding internationally today? Is it any of those questions that we talked about? Is it the opportunity? Is it your product to sell? Is it VAT? What is VAT? Is the language a barrier? Are you still scared of the unknown? It's a very dizzying question for lots of entrepreneurs, and we don't have a lot of time on our hands to grow. So what's going to be best for you as a business and as a brand? So what I tell people is why I joined the company here is there's options, there's partnerships, there's sellers and services out there that point to us at First Choice Shipping. We're here to empower your brand to grow around the world simply, or keep it simple. Honestly, if there is something, if you want to put in the comment section, I would love to hear what are those notions that are keeping you from growing your brand internationally. But I'm here to help kind of take those barriers and remove them for you so we can all help each other. So kind of some actionable things. I think it would be important to not walk away today without some actionable tips. Those are great pieces of information, Ryan, but let's talk about some mistakes to avoid. Because we're First Choice Shipping is a global growth partner, we like to call ourselves, helping people grow simply. I want to talk about shipping and logistics and trying to get your goods into different marketplaces, and mistakes to avoid international growth. So mistake number 1, DDU, putting down a DDU when it comes to commercial invoice. If you're not selling internationally, these terms might be a little foreign to you, but I'm going to break it down pretty simply. Shipping with the Incoterm of DDU and putting this on your commercial invoice. So what that means is in my commercial invoice, if I'm working with a supply or like a shipping company, like a DHL or a FedEx or a UPS, and I'm sending internationally, and I'm filling out my own invoices or my commercial invoice, and I'm filling this out myself. Mistake number 1 that us at First Choice Shipping constantly see is when sellers are putting DDU on the commercial invoice instead of DDP. What's the difference? Simply, it's who is paying for the taxes. So if any of you are sitting and listening to this right now and you understand what DDU versus DDP is, DDU is their unpaid duties. So if I send a care package to a family member in Europe, who's going to pay for those taxes upon receiving at a post office or a pickup location? That's going to be the receiver more often than not when it is DDU. If you're trying to do the same thing to Amazon, I will tell you flat out that they will not allow you to send goods into their warehouses internationally if it is DDU on the commercial invoice. What that means is that you're telling Amazon or you're telling customs that Amazon will be the one paying for the taxes, and that is a big no-no. Amazon will say no. They will not let your goods enter their warehouses. You have already cleared customs potentially, and so you have to either resend it back across border to your warehouse or wherever you shipped it from, or you have to resubmit another commercial invoice to Amazon to make sure that you, the seller, are paying for the duties that you should have paid in the first place. It is a big mistake. You, the sender or the receiver, the seller who is selling internationally, you must sell DDP. You must pay for those duties. Again, it is a must, or Amazon will not accept your goods. So when shipping internationally commercial with your commercial invoice and sending goods into a warehouse, especially an FBA, customs document, it has a list of what you're shipping. You must put DDP on there and pay for those duties and delivery charges. Mistake number 2 that we see constantly is not having an importer of record. You probably heard the IOR or what that definition is or what it means. It's not another acronym that a lot of people want to keep at the top of their head. They just get confused by it. What you don't do, importer record or IOR, is the person who is responsible for the security of the shipment and shipped legally. So nothing is happening to the shipment along the way. There's nothing nefarious going across border. You must be the person, quote, responsible for the goods that are being shipped. Now, again, in Amazon's terms, they will not be the IOR. They're not be the person who's responsible for the security. And you typically, this is the receiver of the shipment, again, in a different country. Amazon is not the IOR. Straight to the point. You need a physical address in that country that you're sending the goods in the different country to act as an IOR. And when people list Amazon, once again, they hit snafu, they have trouble, their goods get stuck there, and is not something that you want to run into, especially with time and your goods tied up at customs. First Choice Shipping, on the other hand, does work with our network to act on the seller's behalf as a IOR or their importer of record. So having a solution in place to make sure that you don't have to worry about making sure that someone's going to take responsibility for the shipments across borders. You don't have time for that. It's a headache that you don't want on your plate or have to worry about or wake up from the middle of the night and have agonizing you. You want somebody who's trustworthy, who has partners in place to make sure that it's safe, secure, and reliable, making sure your goods get from point A to point Z, and that is Amazon's warehouses when shipping internationally. Mistake number 3 that we see, using the wrong HS code. And no, it's not high school code, it's homogenized code. What is that? It's a tariff code. It's what, anytime you ship anything across border, you need to pay taxes. That's just how it works in terms of shipping goods from A to B. Typically, if you're on a plane and you're traveling across countries, they ask you, are you declaring anything? That's typically, they make you pay taxes if you're bringing in something in. If you're sending anything out to as a business, you have to pay the taxes on those goods. And the HS code is the one that indicates how much DDP you're paying, or that DDP we talked about on your commercial invoice. The mistake that we see a lot of people make is people don't fill out this form or this space on their form when they're talking about their commercial invoice. They don't fill out this form. So what that means is that when customs receives the form and the goods, they will fill in their own code, and they will fill in the code what they deem is, again, most expensive, and according to your goods that you're sending in. For example, if you're sending in clothing, or I'm a children's clothing seller on Amazon, and I send goods to Canada, for example, my import duty rate of 12%, I put children's clothing in the homogenized code. It is exempt of VAT. That means there's no value-added tax that you have to also include in the shipment of your goods. There's nothing you have to pay for in that. If I just leave it blank, the custom and duties individuals who are in charge of making sure that they're checking off at customs, they will put the most expensive homogenized code, and that's because of that's more money in their pocket as an entity. Again, if it's left blank, it's up to the discretion of the customs experts at the borders to put based upon what they deem that those goods are. If it's clothing, they can put down adult clothing. If it's a mistake, then that is not their fault. But they will put, for example, adult clothing. If they code it as such, you will still pay the 12% import duty rate, but you also have to pay a value added tax of 20%. So that, again, saving time and money when it comes to making sure that you have the right homogenized code is super important. You don't want to have to pay more money and make that mistake when filling out a commercial invoice. Again, we actually have a duty and tax calculator within our software and services that match up the correct homogenized code, and we make sure that you're receiving the best savings possible when it comes to the goods that you're sending into a different country. So it's super important to understand. This is a big money-making saving tip that you can make when it comes to getting the right homogenized code. Other ones that might, again, that was children's clothing. I don't want to dwell too much, but again, stuff like luxury goods, also something that can possibly skyrocket you in terms of rates and VAT that might be you might be exempt, or you might be able to save on some percentage points if they code it incorrectly. So for example, this is an example of our duty and tax calculator within our ecosystem. It shows you within this line by line of the different rates. It makes you fill out those homogenized codes, those ones that are money making and saving areas under a commercial invoice when you're sending goods into a different warehouse. It's super important to understand that we break it down for you, all the opportunity ways to save money. Mistake number 4, a lot of people have to understand that when it comes to FBA internationally, you actually have to have a return plan when it comes to receiving your goods if they're returned by a customer. What's that mean? Amazon Logistics actually won't return shipments from overseas returns. For example, we all know that there's a percentage of our goods or in our category that are going to get returned, whether it be broken in transit or some distinct malfunction of a product potentially, or just they want to return it because it wasn't the right size or fit or whatever that might be. So there's a percentage that your goods are going to be returned. If you don't have a plan in place, Amazon actually won't return the shipments to you back to, if you're in the United States, or to your warehouse or wherever that might be. You have to have a plan in place. And especially in US shipments, sellers don't need to actually ship the products back to the United States if they're selling overseas. That's a big key. It's a costly mistake that a lot of people make if they don't have a plan in place to receive those returns internationally. So when returns do happen, and I'm not saying they won't, they do, unfillables need to be sent somewhere within the country or it gets destroyed. That product might be perfectly pristine. It might be perfect. It just might not be the thing that they wanted. This is an opportunity where you don't lose money. We actually at First Choice Shipping, we partner with warehouses throughout the world where you can have your return sent. It condenses and consolidates. So if it's a perfect, nothing's destroyed or nothing's broken, you can have those option to inspect it, relabel it, and sent back to the FBA facility in that country. You can consolidate in returns and send it back to the United States to your warehouse if you chose, or you can actually have it forwarded onto a provider that will resell those goods at a discounted rate. So if something is wrong with it and you don't want to repackage it and you have to have it sent all the way back to the United States, you can actually have an option to forward it onto a reseller. Super useful, still making money when returns do happen. I won't say they won't, but have a plan in place so that you can still make sure that you're not costing yourself when these things do happen. And the last mistake that we see at First Choice Shipping quite extensively is going to what a lot of headaches are happening right now is the logistics side of things, is full containers versus LTL or less than truckload or less than container filled versus small parcel delivery. Here at First Choice Shipping, we actually specialize in small parcel delivery. So it's a very unique set for us to get goods into from warehouses to from manufacturers to warehouses, or from your facility FBA to a different country very quickly, instead of waiting on boat or trucking on those long wait times, especially when we're talking about weeks upon weeks of waiting for your inventory to get in. We specialize in small parcel delivery, which again, different from less than a container load, which is typically a container weighs between 150 and 15,000 pounds. Small parcel delivery consists of units packed in individual packaging that's labeled and ready to go, typically fulfilled to different facilities through partners like UPS, FedEx, or DHL. So that's a big money-making system, and we actually in our software show you the breakdown. This is just a screen grab from when shipping US to Canada. You have the option of, depending on the size and weight of your goods, can tell you and cost effectively price quote and say, oh, I'm sending 126 pounds to Canada in one of the FBA facilities there. I can get it there a day later. So I'm sending a standard UPS ground versus express, and I can get it there for $144.90 instead of one-off scenarios waiting for fulfillment by Amazon or the NARF program for fulfilling 7 to 10 days later. You can actually get your goods to different countries quicker and more cost effectively, especially as you're beginning to sell internationally. This is the way to kind of test the waters more effectively and cost effectively and get those goods to the consumers quicker as well. So this is kind of a pricing example between Canada, US to Canada, and US to England. Obviously, it's going to airship to there, and you can get that done pretty quickly. Again, 126 pounds of goods. If you're selling small, again, phone cases or a kitchen utensil, something that's going to be very cost effectively. It's very small. It's very easy to get out in small parcel. This is the option for you instead of cost effective huge containers and units. You don't know if that's going to be great for that product in that marketplace. This is the way to test it out. So I call it the half step into international growth and expansion. So if you don't believe me, if you don't believe what I'm talking about, Amazon points, and this is Amazon global expansion teams, they point to First Choice Shipping as the preferred international growth expert across the board. If you're looking at the SPN network, we are part of the service provider network. We are the #1 recommended solution across the board when it comes to growth internationally, whether it be something simple as going from US to Canada, or something maybe you're trying to get into Singapore, or you're trying to get your goods to Australia, or just in terms of taking that lift off your plate, making sure that there's understandable, everything in terms of international growth is understandable. It's easy to portray to people, and we're kind of that extension for sellers when it comes to entering different markets and growth internationally. If Amazon, we're the #1 trusted provider by Amazon, there's no fighting anyone that's better than us. So I want to thank you all for spending some time with me. It's been a real pleasure kind of giving you that tutorial on like international growth opportunities, regions that are really popping right now, but then also just some mistakes that we see that if you don't have to have that headache that worry about, it's really easy to work with a company like First Choice Shipping to understand that international is not as scary. And if I want to be a global brand, making it easier on me instead of harder. So making it simple and straightforward. I want to thank you all today. If you have questions, you can reach us at support@firstchoiceship.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan, for that. And for those who are watching right now, if you learned something new and enjoyed Ryan's presentation, then don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to our Orange Click channel if you're new to our content. And yeah, you will see more content like this in the future. So Augustus, you want to introduce Ryan's VIP package, right?
Not Ryan's VIP package, but the whole VIP package we have created for this event. So every speaker who is participating in SellerFest online event, we asked every of them to provide additional content, which we call VIP video. It's additional actionable content with maybe more in-depth explanations or different advanced strategies, templates or worksheets and checklists. And also Ryan also provided us an additional video. Could you, Ryan, comment on what you are sharing in the VP video?
Yeah, so it looks it seems pretty bland, but the extended producer responsibility is something that if you're selling in Germany or France, is a deadline that you must be compliant. It's an environmental tax that as a seller you have to comply by, or you. This sounds scary, but if you're selling and you don't have or complying with extended producer responsibility tax, and your packaging is not compliant, or your good is not compliant with those tax certifications, Amazon will shut you down and will take off your listing. And I broke it down in terms of deadlines, in terms of ones that are coming up. The most pressing one actually is July 1st, which is in a few days. If you are in, I believe, France, that's the one that's a lot of the deadlines are coming up. Germany too is very specific on the deadlines. And if I sell my goods at any point, right when I start to, if I'm not compliant with that tax, you can get shut down pretty quickly, and which is no good for any seller. So if you're selling on Amazon now or not at all, or you plan to in the future, you have to be compliant with extended producer responsibility.
Right. Yes. So if you want to get upgraded to the VP package, check the link below in the description. And inside the membership area, you will get access to all these videos. And now I think it's time for the Q&A.
Yeah, sure. And before we start with the first questions, Ryan, you asked during your presentation, you asked the viewers what has been holding them back from expanding internationally, and we did get some replies. So the first reply was that the overall logistics and translation is something that is a little bit challenging. So do you have any comments to share, something encouraging for the sellers? How do you overcome such challenges?
That's a good question. So time warp custom paint, good question. I'll take the translation part first. We point to Yana at YLT Translation. She was in my presentation, which she's our #1 translation service provider that we point people to. So again, making sure that you're localized and you're portraying the right message. Again, language is a very difficult nature. If you don't speak local languages or your product comes across differently, it's important to note that you hit the right points and you're speaking to the voice of the people who shop there. So it's part of that feeling that you get when you read either your bullet points or the images that you're seeing. So it all portrays a message. We point to her at YLT Translations. I believe she's also part of the Sellerfest Online, so definitely check out that talk. And then logistics, if you just want to test out and get a kind of a dip your toe in the water time warp, it's very important to. We kind of handle all those things for people, whether it be compliance, making sure that you're going across border. We handle that all for you. So I would say we're an extension of your brand and making sure that those headaches you don't have to worry about. You want to worry about the things that make you more money. And we're the kind of that logistics team that people work with, and that's all they do.
Okay, very good. And then the second reply said, taxes pay and international law differences prevent me from going international.
Interesting question. So international law differences. I'm curious what you would be selling in this juncture. So if it's a restricted product or you're reselling products, that would be the thing that makes sense to me. So in terms of taxes, though, if it's a headache to understand VAT, GST, those are really big headaches that a lot of people do have to figure out. How often am I paying those? Is it is it taken out for me? For example, VAT, Amazon will charge VAT and collect it for you. That's why you should actually a lot of people don't raise their rates internationally because they think that if I just keep my rates across the board, then I can worry about taxes later. No, Amazon's collecting it. So they will ask you to pay for VAT as well. So you have to kind of take that into effect when you're pricing internationally as well. But in terms of taxes, we have a great partner in Taxually who's software focused and helps you, who helps people kind of figure out those things and make sure they're compliant internationally. So it'd be interesting to see what international law differences.
Yeah,
I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be. So that's a lawyer question.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for that. So let's take another one. So you talk about different marketplaces. So is expanding to Amazon in Japan easy?
Yeah, yes. The answer is yes. again, I think another person on the stake. I think the go-to people are all in SellerFest Online when it comes to these marketplaces. So I'm super happy that I believe Ritu Java of PPC Ninja is also going to be talking about. I know that's PPC related, but the complexity we talked about translations. There is a different way to speak to that audience because there's so much cross-border. Everyone's conditioned to shop online there, and the ease of growing on Amazon is almost as simple as growing on United States. Again, some of the different features like for PPC are different there, how you're talking to that local entity, but getting goods from obviously from potentially China to Japan or everything's a lot closer over there. So it's actually more cost effective to get some goods into Amazon Japan. The adoption rate is very high. So people understand what it takes to buy goods online and you're searching for it, whether it be in English, Japanese, and all the different marketplaces there. So I would, sounds opinionated, but I would say it's yes. And people can walk through on our team, global expansion specialists, how to get set up pretty quickly and be compliant over there.
Okay, very good. So regarding the harmonized code, how can I double check if my supplier used the correct harmonized code?
Good question. Ask for a receipt of the commercial invoice that they're using to send on your behalf. And if it's incorrect, you can double check on our software. That's why it's important if you're doing the international growth on our end. We do the calculator that's built into our software and ecosystem. Again, it's on the person who's inputting it to be as such. You can't obviously be fraudulent with it. You have to make sure if you're selling children's clothing, you have to be actually selling children's clothing. So the code that you reference it, they will, you know, if a lot of people just leave it omit, but if you actually put it in there and it's the correct thing, you can look up in our calculator in our software ecosystem. But you can always ask for a commercial invoice from your supplier manufacturer, double check and make sure that it's listed as such, but it's typically on a one-off basis when you're sending new goods to different countries.
Very good. So should I first start selling on any of the biggest EU marketplaces, or should I first launch my products in the US market?
Good question. Depends on what you're selling. I would say start selling in the biggest EU marketplace. So it depends on also where you're located too. This might be just a convenient of if I'm in Germany, I might be more apt to sell in Germany because I speak German. I know the market. I know my product is going to hit a certain niche. Depends on where the introduction of the product makes place or makes sense. I would say depending on if it's a more niche product and you happen to be that nationality, it's a little bit easier to understand how to stand out in that regards. But most people, I would say 95% of Amazon sellers are starting out selling in the United States and launching their products there just because it's more of a market share, more eyeballs, more opportunity for growth. I would say if you had to pick one, probably the US market to launch your product there. But depending on where in the world you're located, it might make sense to have your goods, if they're manufactured in Germany, have them just start out in German market too. So I would say it depends, but I'd probably start out with the United States.
Okay, actually, I have one question myself. So I wanted to ask regarding to the European marketplaces. What do you think, which of the European marketplaces is now, let's say, most saturated or most competitive if we leave like US out?
Most competitive or saturated? I think the growth, a lot of people, it was always easiest to point to UK. It was going to be the easiest place to grow. I think that Brexit really took a toll on that. And so when people are shopping internationally, most people ask the question, do I send to UK or do I send to Europe? They've almost broken it entirely apart. Europe's without, it's almost put itself on its own island without pun intended. And in terms of international marketplaces, but to expand globally, it's actually a lot of people see the benefits of, for example, shipping through the Netherlands and making the goods get fulfilled from Germany to like Italy and so on and so forth. So it's easier to put goods into Europe in that capacity. I wouldn't call it saturated though, because I think that there's just more opportunity for growth. Again, the numbers do pale a little bit in comparison to United States, but if you looked at the region, numbers that I broke down, you're talking about how many different marketplaces are represented in those countries, and each country has its own marketplaces that the most people are really accustomed to, like Cdiscount in France, very, very familiar marketplace that only a lot of mainly French people use. There's a lot of more niche down marketplaces. So I would say Amazon's opportunity is actually not saturated, but if you add 3% sales from Germany, you add 5% sales from UK, you're adding 2% sales from Australia and so forth, they all add up and they start to equate a much bigger and broader picture for your growth across board. So I know a lot of people are talking about, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not a, hey, what I'm doing in the United States, I'm not replicating that in Germany. No, we're telling you to start. We're telling you to figure out what the market is demanding and to start to feed the top selling products there moving forward. So your top selling product will probably do well there, but you might have a red cup might do way better than your purple cup or something like that in those marketplaces, just because that's what the market dictates. So I wouldn't say saturated by any means. I think there's a lot of more adoption and growth to be had in Europe still.
Okay, very good. So one question more. So when sourcing from China to German market, is the importer of record me, my supplier, or the logistics company?
So the importer of record, so that you would have to have the physical presence in Germany, wherever that locale is. If you have an office there, you can be the importer of record, or a warehouse, wherever your goods are going to sit from. Once they're in China and they're going to sit in Amazon, you can't put Amazon as the importer of record. You would have to be the seller. So if the logistics company does it on your behalf, that's also good. You would have to have that physical presence. Whoever has that physical presence within that company is going to be responsible for the whole entire shipment of goods. Again, I don't know too many suppliers that take on that responsibility, if at all. More often than not, it's going to be the logistics company themselves that should be the one to do that. First Choice Shipping does, and that's why I said that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for these answers and also for the presentation.
Absolutely. I'm glad we can get out on time.
Yes.
We timed that perfectly. Look at that.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you, Lisette. And Ryan, one more time, how does First Choice Shipping help Amazon sellers?
Yeah. So again, we're helping international sellers grow. Simply, it's to take all those questions off your plate and to have an extension of your brand. If you don't understand how to get a VAT or how to get goods from your warehouse in the United States to Canada, or where to even start, we have actual physical people that are on standby to answer those questions to help you grow your business and get those numbers and things off your plate. I would call it an extension of your brand. So you don't have to hire out a VA or anything like that to figure it out. We have that for you through software and expertise and services. So just making it easier to grow your brand internationally is we're international expansion experts, really thrown through international shipping.
Actually, maybe you can share one more time your last slide. You had the contact data, and while you're searching for it, I want to remind that below this video you will find the links to First Choice Shipping, as well to the VP package, which you can always upgrade if you want to get additional 20+ sessions with all the speakers. It's additional insightful information. And yeah, if you want to contact Ryan, he's pulling up the slide. And,
I put it in the private chat too, but I will.
I thought you will. You had a nice chat.
That's all good.
Oh,
I have a nice slide. I'll share it too. But that's my direct email. You can contact us, or you can also do. Here we go.
Yes.
Yeah, support@firstchoiceship.com. That goes to our support team, and they'll point you if you have a question of, hey, I saw Ryan. If you mention Seller Fest online, just Seller Fest online, or Orange Click, or Ryan, or Augustus, Lisette, and Ryan. We're having an amazing conversation. Mention one of those things, and you can email me directly about more questions and conversations. We have weekly talks with the Amazon Global Expansion teams in different marketplaces that are really exciting and opportunistic for sellers. So we're constantly learning on Amazon's behalf. Again, we're the #1 provider that Amazon points to directly and says, hey, we trust. First Choice Shipping knows what they're doing. for international growth, like period. And that's what it is. So you can reach out to support at First Choice Ship. Just let us know, hey, put in subject, I learned about you guys on Sellerfest Online. Would love to know how to grow to Canada pretty easily and effectively, and we'll take it from there.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ryan. Thank
problem.
you, Lisette.
Thank you.
And now I would like to invite you to watch a video about if you would like to expand to Europe. So VAT specialist Alex Viet and Anton Hermann, who is running an agency in Germany which helps to sell products in Europe. So check this out. They have another great video.